show up, right? Because who wants to actually admit that I wish that was someone else? Who actually wants to admit that, I'm trying to be somebody that I'm not, right? But what that looks like is when you overspend. Sometimes when we overspend and we buy things. All right. Welcome back, you guys. I am super excited. Um, I'm always excited. I know I say that all the time, but I am. I'm always excited because God is just good. God is just good. And so we are back at Impact in Action, you guys. And this week we are going over a little bit of a different topic. And one of the different deepest forms of discontent is sometimes constantly wishing that you were someone else. And how does it show up, right? Because who wants to actually admit that I wish that I was someone else? Who actually wants to admit that, I'm trying to be somebody that I'm not, right? But what that looks like is when you overspend. Sometimes when we overspend and we buy things that we actually don't need, maybe it's we're wanting something that we don't actually have, right? And so we overspend our resources, or we try to buy a training that's $1,400. Oh my God, how many times in the comments, how many times have we tried to do that? Buy a training that I know that I cannot afford, but we didn't let this guru talk us into, if you really want the change, if you really want this, you'll do it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm laughing at myself, okay? Because OMG, but nothing is lost. All things work together for the good of those that love the Lord. So we are talking about that today. We are talking about really embracing the life that God has given us, what that means for us, right? And how we are going to continue to just move forward in what God has given us um, for His glory, right? We already talked about that you are the solution. You are the solution to what is needed in this world, your business, your book, your app, your hair store, your merch store, whatever the case may be. You are the solution. But first, we got to stop wanting someone else's life. And sometimes um, exhaustion does not come from doing too much. Sometimes it's just resenting the life that you have. And let me tell you why. So I remember one day I was like, I'm tired. Like I had got off of work and um the dishes, it was dishes in the sink. I had washed the dishes. I was sweeping the floor and I was just sweeping the floor and I was like, I'm tired. I'm tired. Like I'm tired. I'm tired. And I was literally physically exhausted. Like I felt like I really physically did not have the strength to sweep the floor. And Holy Spirit whispered to me, and he was just like, all you're doing is sweeping the floor. Like, what's really going on? And because I had told myself a narrative that mm, upkeeping my house was a burden and that it was getting in my way, then the simple act of sweeping the floor was exhausting. And it was like I was lifting weights or like pulling teeth, is what they say when, it's just sweeping the floor. Like it's not the act of sweeping the floor that was hard. It was just me piling all of these things and telling myself that if I was in a better car, if I was getting paid more, if I was in a better, role at work, if, my house was just more in line and everything would do what I wanted it to do, it would make my life easier. And so I wouldn't be so exhausted at the end of the day, when it was a lie. What I was really doing is I was wanting someone else's situation, not being happy with my ride home, so to speak, right? I work virtually, so but that's what I call it, my ride home, right? Sometimes um we ride home and we're not satisfied with the car, or on the flip end, we might feel like the car makes us, because I've been there before too. And I remember I had a Cadillac, and I remember going into a store, and me and my associate, we were racially profiled, because the lady was following us, and I'm talking about every time we turned, and she was like right in our face. And it hit me like a ton of bricks, because I was like, girl, I don't need nothing from you. Do you not see, girl, I'm driving a whole Cadillac. But guess what? The Cadillac was in the parking lot, y'all. Couldn't take it inside the store with me. Do you know? It didn't actually add anything to me. And so what was funny is, in that moment, I saw how I had taken a material thing and tried to connect it to my personality or my being. And then when it didn't show up for me at the time that I thought it should, it was a reality check. Like, what? Like, girl, why is you? I don't need to steal anything out this store. You know what I'm saying? But that's not what it is. And that's the same thing here. We can't attach outside circumstances to our life and let those things form our identity, because if we have it, then when we don't have it, then we're in this place and space of I'm not good enough, or I failed, or letting go of that thing. Oh my goodness, letting go of that thing. And I ain't gonna lie, it was a good car for what it was used for, but when it starts to break down, oh my God, that's a whole nother. We're gonna keep going because that's a whole nother another day. If you guys have had luxury vehicles, and y'all know how expensive the. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. If this content is resonating with you and you are ready to begin your journey, you know that you are the solution, and that what God has given you, your book, your business, your cookies, your app, your website, is a solution to everything that's going on, and you're ready to take the journey, then go ahead and go to our link in the description box and our link in the bio. And there you'll be able to see all of our links. You'll be able to follow us on social media to stay up to date on everything Becoming Her. You'll be able to receive your free gifts. Could it be that this is your tribe? Let's see. And go ahead and fill out the box below. You can also go to our YouTube so you can be the first to know. Click the bell so you can know whenever we have new things coming up, and our merch. Get your merch if you want to support the vision and help us equip women to lead with poise, strategy, and steadiness in life. The option to do so is there as well. Last but not least, share it out. If you know that you have a friend where it's like, girl, we've been needing to do this, let's go, let's start our journey today. Copy the link. You can also go to more to be able to text it out and send it to where you need to go. So keep watching. We have more for you. Comparison stuff is OMG. OMG. But comparison changes how you see your life. Now, um, washing dishes, cleaning, cooking. That's just a part of what I could do this stuff all day because now I see it as an honor. It's a joy. I put my headphones on and I just, get to work. Where at one point it was heavy. It was like a heavy lift. So if you see things in your life, that's the reason why we do the order audit, so that you can see how you are looking at your life. Are you looking at your life from the way that the world sees it, the way that you see it, or the way that God sees it? Right? Um, because it can make the journey be so much more heavy. And so if you feel like at the end of the day, now I'm not taking away from just tired, right? Because we high capacity women and sometimes just we tired, we need a break. But also that's why you schedule in personal care time. One of the things for me that I have on my goals is makeup. I enjoy doing makeup. I'm figuring out different things to do, like different shades to use, all of that. I enjoy that, right? And that's just something for me because at one point, I would go days without doing makeup, even though I'm going into an office. I would go days without doing makeup because I felt like I was physically exhausted and just didn't have the time for myself. But that was one of the biggest lies because I actually have more on my plate now than I did then. But just because my mindset and the way that I saw my life, because I didn't realize that I was looking at someone else's life and thinking because they had more money than I did that it made the process easier. Because at the end of the day, the people who are uber successful, they have the same 24 hours that we do. Now, yes, like growing up with a silver spoon is a thing, but especially in America, like there is so many self-made, quote unquote, stories where people have the same 24 hours. They eat, sleep, and drink. I'm telling you guys, I've been in rooms with uber successful, uber rich, uber whatever you can call it people. And they are people just like you and I. There's no different, but the lens in which I do understand there are um external forces, right? Um that can contribute to the way that you see yourself, but it shouldn't. I would admonish you to say that it shouldn't. The Apostle Paul says, I have learned to live with a little, I have learned to live with a lot. And that's a whole statement within itself. That whether I am on a beach with beautiful sand and I can walk in the water, and no matter how deep it is, I see my feet because this is just a beautiful, and just being in beautiful places. Travel will really allow you to appreciate the glory of God and how beautiful the world is just made. But I would admonish you to really see that that same beauty is in your backyard. I walk around my neighborhood sometimes and just hear the birds sing. God is good in my backyard, just as good as he is in Maui. Okay. And um my prayer partner, she's so amazing. But she was like, we should never worry. We should never worry. And if you really embrace the life that you have and see what God is doing in it, worry will become a thing of the past. Now, are we all human? Yes. Will we all have our times and our moments? Yes. But as far as constantly being in that state to where you're breaking down, having panic attacks, can't live with the life that you have, let's relook at that, right? Let's see how we look at our life. Because when you really embrace it, something really powerful happens, a really powerful shift happens. So, real progress does not always begin when life changes because it just doesn't. Sometimes it begins when your perspective changes. So, when you get into that car, girl, and get into that hoopty, I've been in situations where I prayed for a hoopty because I didn't have no transportation at all, nowhere to get point A to point B, and I didn't need a Cadillac. I just needed a car. And, so sometimes, 'cause I remember I was talking to one of my associates, and she was like, girl, my car note, I said, girl, don't complain about that car note, because I wish I had one. Don't complain about your car note, okay? Because your current situation is someone's prayer point. And so you have to really fall in love, with your life. This is why do I stress this so much? Because this is where it starts. When you start to work with the life you have, and how does that play out? What does that look like? I always tell my my business clients, it was one small business that I was working with, and um they didn't have I always tell let me go back. I always tell my business clients, build your business based off of what the business is making. Now, of course, early in, sometimes is personal investment in certain softwares and things of that nature, but that should be as minimal as possible. And the reason being is because sometimes it will create a false sense of growth that is not actually there. That is the reason why it was a documentary that I was watching about some black owned businesses where they were popping at one point, and then they go out of business, or they have a lawsuit for unpaid taxes, whatever the case may be. That is because sometimes people see the moment and want to expand, but they actually don't have the resources and capital available to expand. Like, it's not time. And so they do it anyway because the clout is there. And since the clout is there, but the systems are not, then they expand, but then it doesn't last that long. Just like we talked about before, the viral restaurant. They were getting orders from everywhere, orders online, orders on the phone, people walking in. It's a good problem, quote unquote, to have unless you don't have the systems in place. So you have all of this business coming in, but people are waiting an hour and a half, 2 hours for their food. So you're really pushing people off because, like, people are having to wait so long for their food. And, you know, the a constant customer that you could have had is no longer a customer because, you know, you purpose to go viral more than you purpose for your systems to support the virability, right? And so going back to what I was talking about, sometimes the shift is a perspective. Your current life, is not in the way of you becoming. It may be the exact place where the becoming takes place, right? And so, again, you having to figure out, you know, I really don't have the money to fulfill this order um, without the customer paying first. But the customer doesn't necessarily want to pay first. So, what does that system look like? And this is what we're here for. This is what we do. This is why I'm excited because that's why we sit down and we have a session and we're like, well, how can we address this, right? Is it a certain scripting that we can, tell the customer? Are we marketing to the right customer? Because there will be a customer that has no problem with paying before they receive their items, right? Depending on what it is, right? Um, is it a pricing thing? Is it a, you know, just the customer base thing? Is it a systems things? What is it? Right? And so that we can figure that out. And so sometimes your limitations is your parameters for a reason, and we should focus more on what is God trying to get us to build or be fortified in that moment rather than wishing that we had something different or going and saying, oh, well, forget it. I'll go ahead and build a system out of me paying for everything first, but then on the back end, it's not sustainable because now, we have clients who didn't pick up their stuff. And so now I'm personally without a certain amount or subset of money, and I've taken a loss. And after so many losses throughout the year, I can't operate my business anymore, right? And so again, that's why we're getting ourselves in order, because once we get our person in order, then those systems transfer over to our businesses because we are the CEOs of what we do. So that is it for today. Again, like, comment, subscribe. What do you guys think about the concept of really falling in love with your current life and seeing how you can work within it to build the systems that you need for your business, right? Because we think sometimes that it's a balance, but it's not a balance, it's a circle. It is. We'll talk about that more at a later time. Bye, you guys.